Chiefs Kingdom, welcome in to the AP breakdown. We are back. Had a nice little bye week that we used a little earlier in the season than we're used to in Chiefs Kingdom, but we're getting used to it. We're okay with it. I'm Ron Kopp Jr., the lead analyst at the site. With me, as always, Caleb James at CJ Scoobs, great film analyst for us at arrowheadpride.com. Caleb, we are back. The Chiefs are still undefeated, 5-0. But we got a little week off. So 49ers coming up. How are you feeling about the season as we come off this bye week?
Little bit of an earlier bye week than we've been used to, but I do think it is nice. They did need a little bit of time to reset because of some of the issues on offense. So I think this has probably been a good week for evaluation for them on that side of the ball. And really on the defensive side of the ball, it's just continuing to get everyone healthy, continuing to hone in on, the techniques and repetitions and everything. But all in all, you can't complain about being undefeated at this point in the season.
No, sir. And even with that 5-0 record, Andy Reid kind of talked about it on Monday. But there's going to be some South scouting done. You just talked about a little bit of it on the offensive side. I mean, I think there's a few things they're going to be evaluating and making sure they tighten up for the remainder of the season. And we will definitely get into that a little bit. I'm going to be talking about the red zone offense a little later. But that defense, man, that defense has been a huge reason why the Chiefs are 5-0. And, of course, there's some self-scouting to be done on that side. But I think one thing they feel pretty good about right now is how well they're playing against the run, how well they're stopping opposing running backs. I think that's where we should start off tonight, Caleb. You're going to be breaking down the Chiefs' run defense. So, yeah, let's go into it. Why don't you take it away and tell us what to know about the Chiefs' stifling run defense?
Yeah, and it's been outstanding so far this season. And I mean, a few years ago, it was probably, people put less of an emphasis on stopping the run. But this season, with the issues that passing attacks are having across the league, you see the teams that are able to run the ball effectively are playing the best football. I mean, the Detroit Lions, for example, came out and they smacked around the Cowboys on Sunday largely because they were just getting massive rips in the running game. It's been a huge factor all season for teams, and the Chiefs have been one of the best at stopping it. A couple of stats before we get into the film. The Chiefs are only giving up 3.7 yards a carry headed into their bye week, and that ranks fourth in the NFL. And another stat, the Chiefs have owned the longest run play the Chiefs have given up this season has only been 20 yards. That's the best in the NFL. If you think about it, that's really impressive in a lot of ways that they haven't given up a run of over 20 yards at this point in the season. And it gets even more impressive when you look back at the running backs they've played. Week one, I think people said, well, maybe Derrick Henry's washed up. And now 2 months later, he's leading the league in rushing. It looks like, that performance versus him makes the Chiefs defense look a whole lot better now. I mean, how's that look on them considering what we've seen him do? Heading into that game against the Chargers, J.K. Dobbins was on a tear. They've shut him down. They shut down John Robinson. And then most recently, they shut down Alvin Kamara, which is one of the hardest things to do in football. And they did so in that Monday night game in New Orleans. I thought it was just an awesome all-around effort from the Chiefs defense, from the entire team, and it really did take an entire team effort. That's what I love about the Chiefs run defense. It's team defense. It's not just a bunch of guys trying to penetrate, trying to make something happen. They play their gaps. They play sound. They set the edge. They wrap up. They tackle. They do all the little things. And right here on this play, you see the motion over, and you're going to see Malik Herring out there on the edge. Malik Herring's been one of those guys, underrated player this year, but him and Tranquil are immediately both headed to the edge, and you see Herring all over the tight end to where he can't easily come up, but they're stretching this outside. They're stretching it. They're stretching it. They're stretching it. They're making sure that Kamara is not going to go out there. Look at big Mike Pennell in there playing as the defensive tackle there, and he is doing a great job of taking on the guard, and he starts forcing the guard back. You see Nick Bolton. Bolton is playing hard to that play side B gap. He is just flowing there. Leo Chenal flowing backside as well. And, of course, Chris Jones flowing, and he's just much faster than the tackle who he beats on the down block there. But I like this a lot from Pennell because you see how everyone starts getting to wash over the top. And you Kamara, they kind of bait Kamara here. Kamara is an excellent cutback running back. But you see Kamara thinks he's got the hole. He thinks, all right, Leo's going to get washed out of the way. All I got to do is beat Jones to the hole. But look at Pennell. Pinnell slides back inside. He almost gets him to bait it. They baited Kamara into making the cutback here. And it is kind of because Bolton shows this front side, so Kamara's immediately thinking cutback, cutback, cutback. But great show by Pinnell, or a great job by Pinnell to get back inside. And of course, Chris Jones beating that guy on the backside down block. That's what you need to be able to do to beat a great cutback runner like Alvin Kamara. And that wasn't just it. I mean, they bottled Kamara up all night long.
Yeah, he had that one run right at the very beginning of the game. He kind of went back against the grain. Chiefs probably could have had him for a tackle for loss. It was like a 9-yard run, longest one of the game. Didn't get anywhere close to a game like that the rest of the night.
No, and I mean, and it's not just the front seven. The front seven have been big. And yeah, that run that Kamara had also was about a few steps away from being Chris Jones' tackle for loss. But it is what it is. A good player like that's going to get his plays. Not just the front seven, though. The front seven's big, but I love the Chiefs get everyone in run support. Say what you want about like Justin Reed and some of these other guys. They'll get down in the box and play. They'll come out and they'll play their game. McDuffie down there also. But I do like this effort from George Karlaftis. He starts to read it and tries to get back over the top. Good read by him to slow it down, and then Nick Bolton comes over to finish the play. Karlaftis and Bolton have been two of the Chiefs' most important players and why their run defense has been so good this season. And so they're both going to show up. I just like the fact that Karlaftis is getting beat, but he doesn't like panic or try to go back underneath. He just stays over the top because he knows that Reed is going to be coming down also, and eventually he's just going to outrun the next man, and there doesn't really end up being too much space for Kamara to get to. Look at another from the Saints here.
Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing from Mike Pinnell this year. That was one thing going into this year. It was like, man, are they really just about to have like he's been a mercenary for this team. He's been good down the stretch for this team, but is he really about to play a whole 20-game season and be that same sort of impact?
Well, here he's making
it so far.
He's making a nice play here, and so is Turk Wharton. I think Turk Wharton's been the unsung hero of the team so far this season. Chris Jones needs a spell. We'll take a look at the two interior guys. Turk stretching out this guard, pushing him in the backfield. Pinnell is driving, I believe. Yeah, he's getting all over this guard. The guard's trying to reach block him a little bit, but Pinnell's just driving him into the gap, and eventually he just puts him over the pile too. But look at Turk Wharton here. One-on-one versus a guard. Great job. Gets into him. Reads the play. He kind of forces Kamara to cut back, but that's exactly what he wants. They baited him again. I love the strategy from the Chiefs. They almost show the over pursuit. They take advantage of the tendency for the Saints to take advantage of these cutbacks. I thought this was just big time. It was great work by the defensive tackles to really sell it and then disengage at the last second, and just a strong tackle right there. And it's not just been against Kamara. I got some clips here from, you want to take a look at week one, we're trying to see, we're seeing what Derrick Henry's doing right now. I know everyone's in shock, but the Chiefs held him, the Chiefs bottled him up. There's Chenal and, Bolton there week one, just a little bit of a run blitz there. And again, like you bring up, here's the Chiefs defensive line all in here doing work, doing their jobs, Who else do you want? They've been good in short yardage too. They haven't given up too many plays. These kinds of plays, they are hard, and these kinds of situations to be able to stop. But I'll show one more play here. Just something quick from the Chargers game. J.K. Dobbins was on a tear before this game, and the Chiefs held him to like 2.5 a carry. Real ugly showing from him. But take a look at 56 there. George Karlaftis not putting up the sacks like he did last year, but his run defense has been tremendous. It's absolutely making an impact on this football team. LA is just coming out here running the little H counter look. George gets hit by the guard, but he slips around it, does a good job to slip off of it. Bolton comes in. Look at Justin Reed filling. Justin Reed's able to fill like that because these guys here are trying to block Chris Jones, and no one gets up to the second level. So just good team defense. And I think, it looks like Mike Pinnell just coming over there, wrapping his big arms around someone there to end the play as well. But hard not to get excited, and it's everything. I could show so much more. Like I could show Leo Chenal lining up in these funky fronts. I could show Shamari Connor and Trent McDuffie playing in the box, playing run support. There's so many guys. It starts with the core of the front seven, but when you get a defense full of guys, you build it like Brett Veach has and Steve Spagnuolo's images, where you get 11 guys that don't care who they're going against and don't care where they're playing and will rally to the football. You're going to find success against the run game, and that's exactly what the Chiefs have been able to do so far this season.
Yeah, and it's just set up their whole defense, right? I mean, it was something in the first couple of weeks I was noting that they need to get to more third and longs, but I think the last 4 weeks or last 3 weeks, excuse me, you can see that they've been getting a lot more third and longs. They've been getting to those obvious pass situations. It all starts on first down, man, getting those run stops. Shout out Mike Pennell, shout out Turk Wharton. And so I guess before we move on, let me ask you this. Like, you kind of mentioned how, in the past, I think the run defense, it's never been elite like this. I don't think. I think it has been at times, right, when they really need to stop a run in a certain matchup, they can do it. But it seems like this year it has been taken to another level. Like, do you think it's just a matter of the talent has gotten a little better? The veterans are just, they've been in the system so long, especially the front seven, right? What do you think contributes to the defense being like at another level of run defense this year?
Well, you're seeing all these guys become veterans, but they've invested in the players at this position. They've given Chris Jones a big contract, and he's gone from somewhat of a mediocre run defender into being a very solid run defender where he's holding his own on these third down plays. They've invested first round draft pick in George Karlaftis, who at the very bare minimum you knew was going to be a solid run defender. They've gone out and drafted Leo Chenal. They've drafted Nick Bolton, signed Drew Tranquill. They've gotten secondary players who excel at tackling, who have all had experience playing in the box. So I think it's by a combination of both. It's by you have the young guys who are starting to get that experience, and now it's just like, oh, Nick Bolton says, oh, this is my defense. I know everything there is to know about it. I can react fast. I can get guys where they want to be. And it's also Brett Veach, like, knowing I have to invest, because when he took over, obviously the linebackers, the defensive line were not the greatest in the world, especially at stopping the run. And now the Chiefs have built a core that's very good at it, and good for them to have the foresight to know that no matter, what era of football you're in, having a valuable run defense will always step up big in key situations.
Yeah, no, and I think it is a key point to the veteran part of it. I mean, I was someone that was a little maybe critical of, oh, we're just going to bring back the same defensive tackle room as last year. We're just going to bring back all these guys, not try to change it over at all. Well, they're proving us right, or proving me wrong, I should say, on Turk Wharton coming back, on Mike Pennell coming back. I mean, these guys have been studs. So shout out the Chiefs defense, the Chiefs leading the team to 5-0. And they've had to do it because the offense has been, hit or miss at times. I think, honestly, the Saints game, you saw them get into a rhythm probably as well as they have all year, which was great to see, even within the injuries, or amid the injuries, I should say. They did kind of find their way, and, comfortable victory. The defense obviously had something to do with that, but it could have been even more comfortable, right? There were, let me actually have it here. There were 7 red zone possessions against the Saints, and only 2 of them ended in touchdowns. That is a common theme this year, unfortunately, for the Chiefs. They rank currently 29th in the NFL in red zone conversion percentage, meaning they convert, I think it was about 38% of their drives, or of their red zone drives, into touchdowns rather than field goals or turnovers. The Chiefs have been one of the worst teams at turning red zone drives into touchdowns this year. And it's been something that I think we've all seen throughout this season. But let's look at kind of some of the reasons maybe why we're seeing some of the, just kind of the inconsistency or the uncomfortability in the red zone. I think a large part of it, guys, is just the fact that the Chiefs can scheme it up and down the field, man. Andy Reid, when he has all that space, he has Xavier Worthy to run 40, 50 yards downfield. That can open up a lot of space. It's easier to manufacture open throwing windows, open receivers, when you have all that space to work with. Once you get down to that red zone, obviously there's no vertical pushing and open up the middle of the field because, there's a back line back there. You can only do so much to open up windows through scheme. The windows are going to be tight in the red zone. And I would love to see this team, Patrick Mahomes, be a little I just want to say a little more strict about, testing tight windows in the red zone when they're there. I'm not saying be riskier. I'm not saying, just throw into traffic. this is a good example to me. Now, I know it could seem like this is a tight window. This is a pretty tight window throw, but what you're going to see is the Chiefs scheme this open. The Chiefs have trips to the left side. That's going to put Noah Gray as the isolated receiver on this side. Kareem Hunt is staying in the block initially before he goes out to the flat. But basically, that trip side, it's going to take the attention of the Saints defense towards that way, right? Kelsey's on this side. He's a big red zone target. The Saints are going to be looking that way. Demario Davis is already kind of shifting that way. Mahomes' eyes kind of take him that way. Tyrann Mathieu, the deep safety here, is already kind of shading that way. And so what you're going to have here on the backside with all that attention maybe on the trip side, it does open up the middle of the field. Gray is going to run a sit route right at the goal line. He's going to work to box out the defender and put himself available to Mahomes right at the goal line. Now, Mahomes, doesn't throw it, wants to scramble out, touchdown. Great play. It gets negated anyway. Jawan Taylor holds, so even if he does throw this touchdown initially, it's not gonna hold. But my thing here is it just seems like Mahomes isn't comfortable throwing this. He pumps it, right? He's in position to throw this pass, and honestly, it's pretty good timing. You see him once he comes up to throw it. Gray is just now coming out of his break. He's making that separation from the defender and then boxing him out, right? He got into the into the end zone a few yards. He's going to have that room right here at the goal line for a low throw for Mahomes to sit and give it to him. And Mahomes just passes it up. And I think that is part of Mahomes' nature. I know for people that want to say, well, look, that safety's coming over. Tyrann is finally reacting once Mahomes already has his arms pumped. He's not getting over there in time with a good throw if he releases this right there. This is open. This is NFL open. I put this on Twitter, and I got people telling me this is not open. Mahomes should not be throwing this. I'm sorry, but if we want to convert more in the red zone, if you guys want more touchdowns in the red zone, Mahomes has to throw some of these sometimes. Noah Gray's a tight end. Like, you should be able to feel good about him boxing out what appears to be a cornerback. I believe that is a cornerback on the outside. He's boxing a cornerback out, putting himself in good position to score that touchdown. That's where, to me, we just need to see Mahomes test these a little more. It could be a coaching point where Mahomes is telling him, or the coaches are telling Mahomes, look, we don't want turnovers. Our defense is playing so well. Do not force anything. We'll settle for field goals. That's fine. If that's the case, that's one thing. I just think if the Chiefs do want to score more touchdowns this year, which I think should be the case, especially in these red zone possessions, I'd like to see Mahomes just be a little more, trustworthy in the scheme in these situations and throw this. I'm not crazy, guys. He's cocking to throw this, like he's coming back and he's about to throw it. Like, it's not like he just didn't see him, or he just, wasn't thinking about it, or he just was too pressured. He was not pressured enough to not throw this here. He has a clean block for the most part. Trey, obviously the pocket gets penetrated a little bit. That does, make him a little uneasy and makes him escape. All that to say, I want to see Mahomes test some more tight windows in the red zone. I think he has the arm to do it. We know he has the arm to do it. And here is another example from that Saints game of not getting a touchdown in the red zone. And this was almost an all-time play. This was going to be an all-time highlight for Mahomes, this little pirouette he does at the end of this. But this is another, to my earlier point about how, it's just harder to scheme open receivers. Chiefs are in 12 personnel, 2 tight ends set to the right. They actually don't even have Kelsey in, so that doesn't help any of this. It's just hard for anyone to be open here. You're going to look at the top of the screen, Justin Watson on this corner route. Like, you can say, like, yeah, maybe there's a little bit of a window, but this corner is facing him. Once he sees that, once he backs off, yeah, you could say Mahomes has a window here, but man, that's a long pass, and there is someone, coming over, recognizing that Watson's open. There's no one open. No one gets open in the scheme of the play here. It's well covered. Mahomes tries to stay patient and look for something, but it's just tough, man. Like, you could say he could throw it to Worthy on the sideline, but it's just, in general, no one comes open on this play. And this is a lot of the red zone because they don't have guys necessarily, I should say this. They have guys that can create speed and separation, but they don't have the guys that Mahomes feels comfortable necessarily throwing into tight windows at the receiver position because they are kind of speed threats more so than anything. And you're going to see at the very end here, you do want to give Mahomes credit for pirouetting at the end because he does kind of give himself the space to make this throw for the potential touchdown. That's purposeful. He moves up in the pocket. He's trying to get Chase Young to commit that way so he can have a throw through the middle of the field, and it works. it works. P. Ryan just kind of stops moving across the field. It's tough, you know. I mean, Mahomes could have maybe put it more on him. It's probably easier to see from the sideline angle. But you'd like to see P. Ryan continue to move over away from the defender that's chasing him.
I honestly think if he doesn't spin around like that, he might have a better shot to throw the ball to P. Ryan, at least throw him a bullet or something. Because
No, it's
Piron's starting to move that way from the wider view. You see Piron starting to move that way. And I mean, this pocket's about as clean as you're going to get. I think they did a pretty good job of blocking it up there. He's just, I don't know. I think the Piron's behind the linebacker. I don't think he really knows what's happening. I mean, it's going to be a tight play either way. I just not sure why he spun like that.
I think it really was just that he was just in the pocket for so long. He just like at some point he was like, all right, I got to find some way to give myself, you know, I like he just wasn't going to keep his pocket integrity, his footwork that long. But you're right. I think if he did just kind of maintain that instead of going into scramble mode, which we have seen him do a lot this year, where he just kind of goes right into scramble mode instead of really just kind of maintaining footwork in the pocket, keeping himself in good throwing position. I probably agree with you. Yeah, I think he might be doing a little too much here because, yeah, if he does just climb this pocket, again, I think he's seeing Chase Young. He's trying to make him commit one way, and so he makes this little move. But at the same time, if you just climb this pocket with good footwork, Joe Tooney's got him. He's staying in front of him. You know he's going to stay in front of him. No, I think that's a good call there. I think Mahomes definitely could have made that a little easier on himself. And that's the thing. I think a lot of things in the red zone are about, you know, him making it easier on himself. This is kind of another example, even though, you know, you could make the argument Juju could catch this, but I think the play calling could have helped him here. First of all, I am not a fan of RPOs this close to the goal line. Call a design run. Just call it. Like, let's just call design run. They're going to call an RPO here. Mahomes anticipates the fact that he's going to have a throwing window here. He sees man coverage. He knows this safety, which can take up this slant window, right? He is in man-to-man coverage with 34 P. Ryan. He's going to at least follow him initially on that action to pull. He's going to follow him. And so that's going to open up this slant window for Juju. So, hey, good read. It was a good read. It was kind of the correct read, even though you could make the argument if you look at kind of Kareem's path here. Looks like he's probably going to punch it in. Maybe there's a linebacker there to stiff him up. But I just don't like RPOs in the red zone for this exact reason, or this close to, I shouldn't say in the red zone, but this close in this goal line situation, because everyone is so condensed together. One little tip ball up in the air, and it's easily an interception. And especially because you know the Saints are going to be playing, you know, press man coverage. You know they're going to be very physical at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, no crap that this ball is going to get, you know, contested, you know, at the point of catching. So, yeah, I don't like the fact that they called this an RPO. I would like the play calling to either be design runs in this situation or, you know, maybe just not throw it over the middle in the red zone, you know, because stuff like this can happen. And Juju has not given us the dependability in tight contested catches this year. If you guys remember week 1 against the Ravens, there was another red zone play, you know, where he had a chance to catch it and got it knocked out. They don't have, and this could play into Mahomes' uncomfortability testing tight windows, you know, guys not catching passes like this, even though, you know, if we can, I don't think the end zone angle will show it too well, but this pass is behind Juju. It's high for Juju. You want this ball to be low in front of him, and it's probably a touchdown. Juju does have to kind of go up for it on his chest, or on, you know, kind of above his chest rather than going, you know, down and forward for it. So Mahomes could have executed this better. But again, I think the play calling could have helped him here. Let's not run RPOs this close to the goal line. Let's either run a design run or, you know, sprint outs or, you know, something just not necessarily going over the middle, because you're throwing right into where all the bodies are. You know, any sort of pass that gets tipped up like this is going to be an interception, most likely. Shout out Colin Saunders, though. What a heck of a run. That was fun, wasn't it? It was kind of that was about as happy as I've ever been after a Mahomes interception, I will say.
It's a good tackle by Joe Tooney. You got to go low on those big guys.
Exactly.
I know some fellas from St. Louis that had to play against him when he was a high school running back. They said it's not easy, but you got to go low on a guy like that.
Man, it is crazy how he at one point he was touting the rock. You know, he was a heck of an athlete. Shout out Colin Saunders. Glad he's still making plays. But another aspect of the red zone, and this is where we'll finish up, is just the Chiefs. They did it a lot better against the Saints. You're seeing some of these plays here. The Chiefs need to get back to really attacking the edges of the defense in the red zone. Lots of jet sweeps, lots of quick screens to your fast receivers, and not even just jet sweeps, but just motion. Really putting guys in a bind, putting the defense in a bind. You saw those first two plays kind of set it up, and then you're going to see the power read here at the end of the game. Not necessarily a jet sweep or anything, right? This is just a power read. He hands it off because he reads it correctly. Kelsey, if this defensive end widens with Worthy at all, Kelsey's going to keep it, go up the middle on an inside run. But that edge defender stays, gives Worthy the room to the outside. Steele kind of leads him. Good block there. But yeah, the Chiefs need to continue to attack the edges of the defense with their fast guys. The receiver group right now it's just all a bunch of fast guys. I hate to say it, but Justin Watson, Mecole Hardman, Xavier Worthy, they all do a pretty similar thing. Although, obviously Justin Watson's more downfield. Hardman and Worthy need to be used on these kind of plays more and more often, really threaten the defense to get side to side. And what that's going to do, last play here, is set up plays back over the middle. This was a great play design from that game against the Saints. You're going to see, first of all, Hardman come in a jet sweep motion from the right side, pre-snap. Then you're going to see Xavier Worthy come on the right side in a flat route post-snap on a rollout. And look at where all the defenders are spread out by the time Mahomes looks back to Gray over the middle. You're going to see 3 defenders over here, kind of, with Hardman and this running back kind of, they're kind of accounting for them. Worthy, you're going to have guys chasing out here. What does that leave? The entire wide open middle of the field. Noah Gray catches it, and he's going back upfield, gets inside the 5. So, yeah, that's an example of what that horizontal speed can do for the offense. Open up the middle of the field. Chiefs need to continue doing that. Again, that's what their receivers, their strengths are right now is just speed. So you're going to see the Chiefs continue to maximize that, continue to put the receivers in position, to impact the game with their speed. But yeah, the Chiefs need to be better in the red zone. Chiefs need to finish more drives, Caleb. Was that fair to say at this point?
I definitely think it is, though. I'm glad that they have Kareem Hunt now because he's been very good in the red zone. He was very good last season. He's looking good this year when he's been in the red zone. I think that running the ball wise, they also have P. Ryan. He's one of the best short yardage backs in the NFL. He just finds a way to keep his feet moving through those piles. So I think they've got the right pieces. I agree with you. Got to start looking to stretch it out a little more. I think Andy's trying to save a little bit of those looks with Worthy and Hardman for later in the year.
It's a good point.
Like he tends to do. And that's also going to eventually open up stuff like you saw at the end there with Gray. At the end, though, when it comes to like the red zone passing offense, I think it's all going to come down to execution. Who's going to step up? Kelsey's not going to get many looks in the red zone this year outside of like some screens or like quick stuff like that. They're definitely going to limit what it is. So who's it going to be? I mean, do you think they're, I'll mention it. Do you think, we saw some major moves today across the AFC in particular with teams the Chiefs are getting ready to be competing against for? Probably, I don't know about the Jets. We'll see about those guys, but it could happen with them getting Adams. But the Bills go out and get Amari Cooper. Are we? What are we? What do you think we're looking at here?
Yeah, no, the Cooper trade was, it was definitely the most realistic big name trade out there for the Chiefs. So that was, it wasn't great to see the Bills do that and pass up the Chiefs there. But yeah, I am of the mind that you will see the Chiefs make some sort of move. I think the Chiefs receiver room, it is just so decimated from what they thought it was going to be at week 1. And so I do think part of succeeding in the red zone is getting another guy that can, just win a route, can get open by himself. Rashee Rice was getting to that point where he was becoming that kind of receiver where he could do it all. He could get open himself. He could beat zone. It really sucks to see him get hurt. But if the Chiefs are going to go for this year, if the Chiefs are going to go for that three-peat, man, it's hard to see them doing it with this group of skill position players right now. I just to be completely honest, I think the offense needs another. What do you think? Do they need another weapon there?
MVS got cut today. It's a Super Bowl score, big game, AFC Championship game, touchdown score.
Please no. Please. Come on, guys. Come on, Veach. You don't want that, Veach. You don't want that. You just don't.
I think that they're going to go after someone. It probably won't be who we want it to be. But, I mean, there's some names out there like Hopkins is fun to talk about. And we are just talking like their Beach isn't going to do it unless it's there. Like, I mean, who realistically would be like the most crazy trade scenario they could go after? Like a Cooper Cup or someone like that, cash in the chips. Like that's unrealistic, but it's something that could get talked about.
Yeah, I think Deontay Johnson from Carolina is the guy that is my dream trade right now, just because, it's semi-realistic, even though, you could make the argument Carolina just traded for him this offseason. No matter what happens this year, they may just feel like, they want to invest in him, for their future, because he is a really good receiver. He's younger. But we got to think about Christian Kirk from Jacksonville as well is out there. Would take a pretty penny. The Chiefs would have to pay up a little bit, but at the same time, maybe Jacksonville eats a lot of that money and just get draft capital, a higher draft pick back. You could see that happen. Darius Slayton for the Giants. He's played, Mike Kafka's the OC up there, so you could make the argument that, maybe he has some scheme familiarity. Yeah, there's some options out there, but we're probably just going to end up with Demarcus Robinson or MVS. No, I think the Chiefs are smart enough to know that they don't need a vertical stretcher. They don't need more vertical route running. They really don't. They have Xavier, they have Justin Watson, and McCole Hardman can stretch as well. They need someone that can break a guy off, that can intermediate, that can beat man coverage, and that's a lot easier said than done. But someone like Deontay Johnson would certainly fit the bill there. So that's my dream scenario. I do think we'll see some sort of acquisition at the receiver position before the trade deadline. So we're getting there, people. We're getting there. The 49ers are going to be a tough test, Caleb. How are you feeling about this weekend going up against the Niners, who, obviously they're 2-3 this year, or 3-3, excuse me, 3-3 now. But still, one of the better teams in the NFL for sure.
Yeah, they're sleepwalking. They got their own injury issues to deal with also. They are, having a little bit of a down year so far after the Super Bowl, which I think they came out and gave Seattle the business pretty much. They showed why their offense is elite on Thursday Night Football. I know a lot of you were probably watching the Royals, but Thursday night, their offense came out and looked as good as ever. So, going to be important for the Chiefs' run defense to be up to the task, even without CMC. They still got just that creative offensive line, that creative offensive mind of Shanahan. Solid group of backs, Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, Brock Purdy, same gang we saw in the Super Bowl. So should be a good time. I mean, really, when you take a look at like who's looking the same versus looking different, their offense minus McCaffrey looks pretty much the same across the board, maybe even some upgrades along their offensive line. And the Chiefs defense looks pretty much the same across the board, where you see differences are on their defensive side of their ball and where on the Chiefs offensive side of their ball. So it'll be fun to see where like those little changes in the offseason come into play. But I don't think the 49ers have beaten the Chiefs during the Mahomes era, even back to the 2018 game at Arrowhead. You think back, the Chiefs got them. Then next year, get them in the Super Bowl. They don't play. The next year, I think the Chiefs went there and took care of business, or the Chiefs took care of business there.
Yeah.
Then took care of business
right.
against them in the Super Bowl again last year. So, obviously they're going to have a big chip on their shoulder to come in here and try to, or for us to go out there and for them to try to get the win. But Chiefs always seem to show up when they're playing against the 49ers, and Andy Reid shows up when he's coaching against Shanahan.
Yeah, the 49ers probably hate us at this point. Yeah, you're right, 4-0, including the Super Bowls. Shout out. Mahomes' first home start, making that crazy throw to Curse Conley. We'll never forget that. That was against the Niners. So, yeah, a few good memories against the Niners. Actually, Mahomes' first preseason action was against the Niners, too, way back in the day in his rookie year. So, look at that. That's pretty wild. And so, yeah, I think, to your point, though, I think the real key thing here is the Chiefs offense, because, the 49ers offense is high powered. They have some injuries, but, we saw them chip away at the Chiefs defense in the Super Bowl. We can't necessarily expect, I think the 49ers offense could, do a similar, thing to the Chiefs defense this game, even if the Chiefs defense is playing really well. Chiefs offense needs to step up, give them more support, not to put them in such bad positions, score touchdowns in the red zone, maintain drives, not go 3 and out. I think that's the key here. So, yeah, it'll be a good game Sunday, exciting Sunday, 3:30 kickoff out in the West Coast. And we will break all that down next week, what we see from the game. Appreciate y'all joining us tonight. Make sure you are following us on Twitter at Ron_Kopp, at CJ Scoobs on Twitter. And we also have the YouTube channel. If you're watching on Twitter, go make sure you Make sure you like the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and make sure you're following us our content all year long. We're going to be coming back, writing, breaking it all down. That's what we do. So, Caleb, any final words for the people before we get out of here?
Nope, but it's about to be a big stretch of football here. Andy Reid after the bye week is major advantage, so let's go see it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Exactly. No, it is a big stretch of football. We got about 10 more weeks straight of this, or 11 more weeks straight of this. Even more than that, probably. Let's do it. All right, Chiefs Kingdom. Appreciate y'all joining. We'll catch you next time.